Carmel Sepuloni, 5 minutes in reply.
Mr Speaker, I really do want to thank the parties that have spoken in support of this bill, and I just want to acknowledge all the speakers for their contribution, even if I strongly disagree with some of the contributions that were made. I just want to reflect on some of the contributions and use this as an opportunity as a right of reply, I guess, just to finish off the debate on this bill, Mr Speaker. The previous speaker to me was the ACT Party MP, David Seymour. Thank you for meeting with me, David Seymour. Thank you for showing me a graph and talking to me about, I'm not really sure actually what you were talking to me about when I came to your office actually, so I'm not going to pretend I did. But I will say this, Mr Speaker, the ACT Party member says that I haven't demonstrated why this is a good use of expenditure. I just want to say that every welfare reform that government has put through is not backed up by any evidence whatsoever. We have asked that government, we have asked MSD on numerous occasions what evidence they have to support the welfare reforms and the decisions they have made, and the response we get back is there is no evidence. So please don't question whether or not this is a good use of expenditure, whether or not putting money into the pockets of the poorest New Zealanders is a good use of expenditure. Mr Speaker, we had Parmjit Palmer reaffirming a previous line that was run by national MPs, that is that money is not an incentive to work. I don't know whether any New Zealander would listen to that and think, actually, this is a government I can have confidence in. Of course money is an incentive to work. Money is the biggest incentive to work, Mr Speaker. That member also said that this bill is a disincentive to work, Mr Speaker, by giving them more money to go out and work, that it's a disincentive. And Mr Speaker, in the same speech, that person had the audacity to then turn around and say the focus should be on children. So here we are talking about putting money in the pockets of some of the poorest New Zealanders, some of the poorest New Zealanders who are looking after the 60% of the 305,000 children living in poverty, and that member still says the focus should be on children, but we will not support your bill. Mr Speaker, we had Todd Miller launching an attack on me for my opposition against the Children in Hardship Bill. But Todd Miller, we're supporting the Children in Hardship Bill. We just disagree with certain aspects of the bill. Aspects like the fact that with no evidence, that government is saying you must go back to work when your youngest turns 3 rather than 5. No evidence to support that. Things like the fact the government is pushing the part-time work obligation from 15 hours a week to 20 hours a week, when there's no evidence to support that that's a good thing for those parents or those children, Mr Speaker. Those are the elements of the bill that we are not supporting. But Todd Miller, we are voting for. Mr. Todd Muller, we are voting for the Children in Hardship Bill. We are just voicing our concern about elements of that bill. We had John O'Naylor, again, a line that was repeated by Parmjit Palmer, she really needs to learn who to take advice from, saying that money is not an incentive to work. That's coming from a man who claimed 2 salaries for a number of months as he transitioned into work in this place. That's right. Mr Speaker, lest we forget. And he is not one of the lower income earners in this country. So, Mr Speaker, it is okay for the national government to support certain members of society to have tax cuts, tax breaks, and yet here we are considering a piece of legislation that would provide a break to some of the poorest New Zealanders, Mr Speaker, that would provide some incentive to go out and work, Mr Speaker, and it has the potential to have an impact on the 305,000 children that are living in poverty. Mr Speaker, I think the national government should be ashamed of themselves for not supporting this bill. And Mr Speaker, I say this one more time, I do hope that the other parties in the House will have a little more sense and will at least support this bill to Select Committee so we can have the debate and discussion there.
Yeah, well said.
Members, this debate has concluded. The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. No. The noes have it. The ayes have it. Party votes called for. Ask the clerk to conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National,
59 opposed.
New Zealand Labour,
32 votes in favour.
Green Party,
14 votes in favour.
New Zealand First,
12 votes in favour.
Maori Party,
2 in favour.
Ag New Zealand,
1 opposed.
United Future.
1 opposed.
Silence. Members, the ayes are 60, the noes are 61. The motion is not agreed to. Call on members' order of the day number 3.